Hi everyone, in this video I want to talk about one of my favourite books on writing advice, and that is How Not to Write a Novel by Sandra Newman and Howard Mittelmark. It's written in such a way that, as well as containing a lot of useful advice, it's also a lot of fun to read. It's broken up into several chapters, each of which tackles an element of novel writing. So there's a section on beginnings, a section on characters, a section on plotting, and at the end a section on actually submitting your novel to publishers. Within each of these chapters there are a number of examples of potential issues, potential challenges, things that might cause your book to get rejected by publishers. And each of them is given with two sections. There's a little piece of example text written to exaggerate the problem, both to get the point across of what the problem is, but also for comedic effect. So a lot of these are really quite funny. And then there's a section explaining what the problem is, how to avoid it, and why that is something you maybe want to keep out of your novel. I'm quite cynical about any rule that says, oh, you should never do this in a book. You should never do this when you're writing. But I do find if you are going to break any of these rules, it's useful to know what the rules are. So this book is really good for pointing out things which could be problems. And the way it's written, there's a lot of humour, so it comes across as fun rather than preachy. So I've read it several times because it's actually a really fun book to read. In terms of who it's aimed at, who I would recommend it for, I would say if you are starting out, if you are about to begin your first novel and you're staring at a blank screen and a blank page, it's probably not for you. It might be a bit intimidating, a bit off-putting if you're in that situation and you read a book like this that basically says here's all the mistakes that you might end up making in your writing, and that might be a bit of a problem and motivation. But if you have maybe written your first draft, or if you're sending your first novel out and it keeps getting rejected, then that's the sort of person who I think would benefit from this book. Because you can go through it, you can look at these examples of potential mistakes and think, am I doing this in my work? Is this something that maybe I need to go back in edits and improve in my work? So as I say, there's a lot of useful advice in there. It's written, one of the authors is a professional editor, so I get the feeling that they're going through and seeing a lot of these things coming through the slush pile and wanting to warn people so that the quality of submissions goes up. So definitely recommend it if you are at that stage of your writing, if you're finishing a book or if you're sending it out on submission. Really useful advice and really enjoyable, so highly recommended. As I said, it's one of my favourites. I've read a number of writing advice books and this is one I come back to again and again.